Welcome to Kyoto, one of the three most prominent cities in Japan. It's on everyone's visit list. I'm standing outside the Cube, the main station in Kyoto. It's a massive facility, one of our favorite stations in all of Japan. You'll see why in just a moment. But welcome to Kyoto as we go explore.
In this video, we'll take you to some lesser known and less crowded spots in Kyoto that you must see, such as the Nanzenji Temple, the Kyoto Railway Museum, the other bamboo forest, and a hidden gem of a dessert place that will blow your mind.
Now, folks, we're in what's called the Cube. It's on top of the Kyoto station. It's perhaps the most amazing station in all of Japan that we've ever come across. We love coming here. The escalators, the outdoors are amazing. There are shops galore down below, restaurants, everything. It's just a cool experience, and it's free.
When you step inside the enormous atrium of the Cube the first time, your jaw will drop. The massive canopy sitting 11 stories above is impressive, as are the numerous outdoor escalators that take you on the joyride to the very top. On either side of the atrium are multiple floors of shops and restaurants where you can grab a bite to eat. Just going up and down the escalators is a fun experience. If you're like me, you'll do it every time in town and perhaps more than once. Our first stop is one of the most impressive shrine complexes you'll find in all of Japan. The Tofukuji Temple is considered one of the top 5 Zen temples in Kyoto, and its main gate, the Sanmon, is the oldest in Japan. The original temple was built in 1236 and today has 23 primary buildings, many of which you can explore. Some of the buildings are enormous and all feature amazing works of craftsmanship. The walk to the temple takes you through a quiet residential area with other small temples and bridges along the way as you leave the crowds behind. One of the iconic structures is the Sutenkyo Bridge, built in 1380, which spans a steep gorge with stream below. During the fall, access may be limited, but otherwise this temple is an oasis of solitude in Kyoto. Other parts of the temple grounds are equally impressive, such as the stone Honbo Zen Garden and the Kaisendo Shrine, with its garden from the mid-Edo period.
Compared to Nara, which is so well known for the big shrines and temples, this place is equally amazing, but the benefit is there's not many crowds.
So definitely put Tofukuji Temple on your must-see list while in Kyoto. It's one of those hidden gems in the midst of town that most visitors never see.
Now, when you come to Kyoto, one of the things you're going to want to see is the famous bamboo forest. You see it in every website and travel website, that sort of thing, and it should. It's a great place. But if you don't get there early in the morning, might be a little bit disappointed because it will get overrun with tourists.
This other bamboo forest can be reached by a 4-minute taxi ride from the Rakusai Guchi station, which itself can easily be reached from the main Kyoto station. This forest has miles of wide paved pathways to walk in various directions. Some sections are thick with bamboo while others are being harvested. When you walk through the area, you may see local volunteers helping care for the forest. It's totally relaxing because there are effectively no tourists. During our recent visit, we encountered only one other visitor, but when we went to Arashiyama and passed through the well-known bamboo forest there, it was overrun with people. And depending on where you exit this forest, you might enjoy the bonus of this view overlooking Kyoto.
Now, when you come to Japan, whether you are a railway fan or not, or hobbyist or whatever, you're going to ride the rails. And it would do you good to experience one of the many museums they have in Japan. There are several. We just finished touring the Kyoto Railway Museum, which is enormous. Unlike the SC Maglev Museum in Nagoya, this one focuses more on steam engines and older trains and that sort of thing. But what's really cool is up on top you have an observation deck on which you can watch active trains running, the Shinkansen, the local trains, the rapid, the freight trains. It's amazing. So, and if you have kids, it's absolutely a fantastic place for children, young or old.
Once inside, you're greeted by 3 static displays of train engines spanning several decades of development, from steam to diesel electric to the inaugural Shinkansen or bullet train of 1964. This carries forward to the more modern Shinkansen of today, but there are plenty more steam engines at this museum than not. This includes a working turntable and roundhouse enclosing nearly a dozen locomotives. Just outside is a play area for the children and something special, a working steam engine and train which you can actually ride. Not many train museums offer this, and if you walk up to the rooftop terrace, you can watch dozens of trains come by every hour. Just wait a few minutes and you're bound to see one or more Shinkansen on the Tokaido Shinkansen line. Of course, there's a restaurant if you want to grab something to eat before continuing your exploration of all the exhibits, which includes a large model train display that runs every half hour. The Kyoto Railway Museum is just one stop west of the main station, so be sure to include it in your visit. You may see a lot of school children on outings, but what you won't typically see are throngs of Western tourists.
It's time for another word of the day. We're standing on the platform waiting for our train to come pick us up and sweep us away. So, when you're in a restaurant, sometimes you don't want something served to you, particularly like a drink. They might offer you something to drink, and you're like, I don't care for that. What would you say?
You say, "Ie kekko desu," means no, thank you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. All right.
Ie kekko. Oh,
Well, thank you very much, and look at this. Here comes our train, so I think it's time we better go. Bye-bye.
Please click the like and subscribe buttons, as this lets us know we're doing something right and encourages us to make more videos like this to help you plan your next trip. Nanzenji Temple on the east side of Kyoto is yet another stunning example of Japanese temple architecture. This one is a much lesser known temple complex nestled up against the foot of the mountains. This temple dates back to 1291 and was actually built by one of Japan's early emperors after he stepped down from office to become a Buddhist monk. Even though the Sanmon Gate you see today is a reconstruction, it's a reconstruction that was built in 1628. That's 396 years ago. This gate is considered to be one of the 3 greatest Sanmon in Japan, and you can climb the steep stairs inside to walk along the balcony that wraps around the upper floor. This provides a bird's eye view of the temple grounds and the city of Kyoto. The lecture hall is a massive structure hosting all manner of events through the year, having been originally built in 1479. Like so many wooden structures, it burned down, was impacted by war, rebuilt, burned, and finally rebuilt again in 1909. And behind me is a waterway bridge. This is an aqueduct which provided water to the temples and Nijo Castle and others here in Kyoto. What's amazing is there are very few tourists here, and this is a Saturday at prime time, almost noon. Compared to the Inari Shrine where we were earlier today, that was overrun with people, this is a beautiful spot to come explore. The Suryo-kaku Waterway Bridge is an aqueduct that was built in the late 1800s as part of the Lake Biwa Canal to bring water and hydroelectric power to Kyoto. A walk along this engineering marvel leads to yet another small sub-temple of Nanzenji, so if you want to get even further away from the large crowds, take the pleasant tree-lined walk up to this smaller temple with its inner garden.
We're at the very tiny and intimate Gioji Temple in Arashiyama. It's absolutely stunning. It's probably one of the most beautiful temples you'll see with the moss-covered grounds and so forth. But what you don't notice here are the tourists. Literally about 1 mile that direction is the main drag of Arashiyama with tens of thousands of tourists. Not a soul here. Well, 1 or 2, but it's just incredible.
Of course, you can take a taxi from the Arashiyama station, but we like to walk through the back streets, stopping along the way at various shops and restaurants such as Surezure, one of our favorites for some delicious udon. It's a delightful walk as you leave the crowds behind and get to the end of the road. Enter through the gate into a serene world of peace and quiet as you walk along the stone pathway and the moss-covered grounds. The temple is very small and densely covered in trees, thereby making it a cool and shaded area on a hot day. The temple was named after a long-ago dancer who was spurned by her lover, a powerful lord. She retreated to this temple where she lived out her life as a Buddhist priestess. We're certain you'll enjoy this hidden gem of a temple. Now, if you aren't as austere as a Buddhist monk and would rather indulge yourself in something more worldly, we suggest visiting La Maison Javard, a French pastry shop just north of the famous Gion district, but on a much more quiet street, Shinbashi Dori. This area is a few blocks north of the very well-known and overcrowded Gion district. However, if you go north to Shinbashi Dori or Shirakawa Lane, you'll get away from the crowds and yet enjoy the same scenery. When we visited, it was midday on a Saturday, yet as you can see, there were no crowds of tourists. Stepping down a narrow alley between 2 streets, then turning left onto Shinbashi Dori, you'll come to La Maison Javard. Dating back to 1948, La Maison opened up its doors in Kyoto in 2018. The cafe is very small, with display cases and shelves showcasing the gourmet creations. It offers an intimate seating area on the ground floor as well as a dining area upstairs where you can watch the street below. It's one of the most pleasurable experiences you'll find in Kyoto, as it is tucked in among the old geisha and tea houses. I splurged and went with a chocolate ball filled with sponge cake, mousse, and mango. It came with a side of piping hot melted chocolate, which I poured over the top and let the outer shell melt to reveal the delicious interior. And yes, it was delicious. There's nothing left to photograph. Afterward, take some time to stroll around the side streets. Walk along Shirakawa Lane with its wide stream flowing alongside restaurants and houses before ending up on the banks of the Kamo River. Early morning, midday, or evening, doesn't matter. Any time in this neighborhood will give you memories to last a lifetime. Watch for our upcoming video on Nagoya. We'll visit the Toyota Commemorative Museum, Nabana no Sato, the largest light display in Japan, the 46th floor Sky Promenade, the futuristic Oasis 21, and Major Mura Village, an historic outdoor museum like no other. Until then, sayonara!